Hello, gentle listener, and welcome to Nocturnal Transmissions, the fortnightly podcast that brings you dark tales, both old and new, performed by your humble narrator, Kristin Holland. This episode, we're very excited to be reacquainting you with an old friend, Patrick Meegan, the twisted mind behind our 9th episode's featured story, Hierarchy, in which he perverts the well-known trope of the zombie apocalypse into something even darker. And our 18th episode's featured tale, The Steeplechase Flourish, where a small boy finds himself trapped in a netherworld with his fate in the hands of nightmares in the form of children's toys. It's been a long time since he last tormented us, 2017 to be precise, so we're absolutely thrilled to have him return to the show. His offering on this occasion takes us into the realm of Afro-Haitian religion. So, Mr. Meegan, as Frank Sinatra once said, do that voodoo that you do so well. Nocturnal Transmissions is proud to present Rootwork by Patrick Meegan. Becca took it easy on the park bench, her elbow on the armrest, idly twirling a strand of hair. Commuters came and went through the subway station doors, hustling across the busy intersection. Marcus had gone off on his heist, taking the apartment key Becca had kept from a former home care client, the key she pretended she didn't want to give up. "I can't do that," she'd said, watching him fall for it. Using Marcus had become so easy it had staled. One mention of the silver box in old Miss Jana's place, and he'd been after that key. Marcus could be sweet, and just the kind of dangerous she liked. If he got it, the box should sell for enough to get a few days of shopping out of it. Then it might be time to move on from Marcus. The doors to the station opened and a giant stooped through, his eyes buried behind dark glasses, his face a gravestone, skin that made his black suit pale. The giant stepped aside, holding a door for 2 women in white dresses, ruffles and lace, purple kerchiefs covering their heads. One very old, one very large. Becca knew them. During one of her visits with Miss Jana, they had sat in the parlor, their giant beside them, a granite post in black glasses. Miss Jana could go on with her stories, but that day she had quickly shown Becca out, and Becca had been glad to leave. The giant led the women to the pedestrian crossing. The moving crowd opened a path. The old woman stopped as the others continued on, her lips moving fast with rhythmic murmuring. The larger woman turned, spoke sharply to the giant, and sent him back. He bowed, his voice hollow. "Mambo, we must go." Becca lowered her head, wiping at a spot on her pants that didn't exist. All Marcus had to do was grab the box and get out. When Becca looked, the giant had led the women across the street, in the direction of Miss Janice. The crowd opened a path. Jana, her body strong, standing at the shoreline of a beach, the sun restful, thoughts like clouds, palms sighing. She heard her name beneath the ocean's roll, the saints. She raised her hands. Yes, yes, asking them to guide her home. But the sun faded, cold crept, laughter crawled. Her charge. Miss Jana awoke in her sunless apartment, age crushing her body, so painfully far from home. No, it had been in her leaves. Today would be her homecoming. Footsteps, the caplatas here to take it, to let her go home. Marcus slipped into Miss Jana's apartment, pocketing the key Becca hadn't wanted to give him. Becca could be sweet, but she didn't take advantage like she should. What did they pay her to wipe old ladies' asses anyway? Couldn't be enough. But this couldn't be easier, and the box sounded like real money. Then maybe it would be time to move on from Becca. Inside the apartment, incense crowded the air. Candles burned in mounds of old wax. Portraits of saints watched Marcus. Old world superstitions. He found the closet Becca had described, cluttered with candles and creepy statues, and in the middle of it, on a pedestal, the prize. A silver box, like a cigar box. The light glanced off its details, drawing Marcus. In its surface, lumpy faces like unmolded clay forced their way out. He knelt closer. A single loop of barbed wire kept the lid in place. Marcus stole, taking the box from the pedestal, his face twisting in its swirling surface. Miss Jana listened, the footsteps not right. No, someone setting it loose. Miss Jana hauled her body from the bed, head spinning, legs shaking. Laughter. The reek of tobacco. No, not yet. Rising behind her. Not yet. In the hall, Marcus heard something, but the box was the only important thing, and it grew warm like flesh, pulsing. The jagged wire and a fence, commanding. Marcus touched a single barb, closed his fingers around it, controlling. The wire slid right off. Miss Jana pitched into a dresser, happy photos from long ago crashing to the floor. Damn him! She turned. Baron Samedi. The figure bowed, tipping its hat, towering over the frail Miss Jana. He appeared more skeleton than man, dressed for a funeral, dried flesh taut over his face. He adjusted his coat.
Pleasure, Mama. Now, I've got some digging to do.
He had no eyes. Miss Jana lunged for the door.
Ha ha ha.
Marcus, unaware, looking into the living surface of the box, seeing grey clouds, dark faces. He took the lid, swirling, and opened the box, calling. Marcus touched it. Miss Jana, with everything she had left, forced herself through the door. A man there, spellbound, holding the box, his fingers on the fetish. No! No! Her warning startled the man. He yelped, spun to her, and the doll fell from its cage. Miss Jana staggered. "Mahu, protect me!" and crashed to the floor. The doll waited for her there to watch her body sag. Marcus saw a skeleton dancing to distant music, thrusting its hips obscenely, laughing and pointing. Marcus backpedaled too fast not to crash into the wall. Cigar smoke crept from its nostrils.
Now I dig a hole for you. Ha ha ha.
Between them, the doll began to smolder, thick curls of smoke pulling free of the thing. The front door burst open, and the biggest man Marcus had ever seen filled the hallway, storming at him. Marcus held the box out. I just got here. I don't know. The man snatched the box from Marcus, grabbed his hand and buried it in his own, squeezing, bones grinding, fracturing, splintering, Marcus screaming. The man took him by the throat, pinpricks and buzzing stars, then hurled him into a wall. The doll had blackened, billowing smoke. Marcus, his mind switched to senseless panic, just adrenaline, keeping his hand close, getting to the door, just as a large woman in white came through, shoving him aside and back into the wall. Marcus, screaming, crying, his hand a bloating bag of broken bones. Couldn't be real. It couldn't be real. It couldn't be real. Two women in the hall now, hands high, voices raised, ancient words, angry words. The dancing ghoul. Marcus, crawling, stumbling to the door. It's not real. It's not real. The doll bursting into white flames, smoke filling the hall, and a woman forming, shaping, becoming from the smoke, with a pack of barking beasts. black hair and grace. She gave the giant no regard, a bend of her hand, and he flew, smashing into the ceiling. Laid bare, his body shifted, cracking, flattening. The animals were at the women now, tooth and nail, froth and blood. Blood also wept from the seams of the giant's suit, flattening. His glasses fell. Marcus ran, screams chasing him down the stairwell. He ran. Becca sat on the edge of the bench, knee bouncing, waiting for Marcus, sure he had enough time to get out before the three strangers got there. Come on, come on. Marcus came sprinting down the street, dodging the crowd, plunging into the intersection. Horns blared, a taxi swerved, and Marcus ran. Becca grabbed him on the other side. He held one hand to his chest, hurting, ranting. "We have to go! Now! Now! We have to run! Marcus!" Trying to calm him down, people noticing them. "Marcus, stop it!" Becca not wanting to be seen. Marcus tried pulling away. Becca wouldn't let him. Marcus, stop! Him twisting. Marcus! Sweating, shaking, eyes darting, looking. "Marcus, what did you do?" "The cathedral. Yeah, the cathedral." Gritting her teeth, yanking him. "Marcus!" Marcus turned and saw them over her shoulder. "Oh, God!" Becca turned and saw them. Something in the crowd, the way Marcus had come. Some things. Golden animals with black mottled backs and rounded ears, loping, unnoticed, through the crowd, stalking her. The lead animal stopped at the opposite curb line, bristling, heaving. Rushing traffic blocked its way, heaving. Something Becca remembered from a nature show. Heaving. Eating their prey alive. Hyenas. Heaving. Bloody drool. A whole pack now, leaning into the street, snapping, blood whipping from their fur. The people at the curb, none of them looked. A woman stopped her stroller beside one. None of them saw the animals. Shaking. Waiting. Becca had to run. Long teeth, barking, pacing. Had to run. The traffic light changed. The cars began to stop. The things crouched. Becca shoved Marcus as hard as she could. Go! Slamming through the door, Marcus dashed into the subway, screaming. Becca right behind. She yanked the door shut and saw them coming. Hyenas raged into the intersection, scrambling over cars, crawling under waiting trucks, coming for them. And no one looked, no one saw. She pulled the doors closed and ran off after Marcus, hardly touching the stairs. Bodies slammed against the doors behind her. Her shoes running loud in the empty hall, her breath booming, echoing off the white tile. She came to the turnstiles and found Marcus crying in a corner. His hand. Oh my God. Marcus, what the fuck? I don't know, I was just gonna take the box, but the doll. He bent over and puked. Marcus, look at me! Grabbing him, smelling vomit. What are you talking about? Marcus avoided her eyes, blubbering. Useless. Becca turned to leave him and saw they were alone in the station. No one to look, no one to see. How? Wait, someone in the token booth, behind the thick glass. A man. Dark clothes, his head down. A top hat. Marcus yelped. Becca heard him run, heard him smash into the turnstiles. It raised its head. A ghoul grinning around a cigar, snakes of smoke slithering through its skull. Not, Becca thought. Can't. The thing reached a jerkied hand for the booth's microphone. The tinny speaker rattled.
Now I dig a third.
Becca stepped back, stumbled back. The ghoul stopped, put a finger to its teeth, listening. Ticking, clicking, ragged nails on concrete running. Coming.
Go, girl.
Growling, grunting, Becca climbed over the turnstile, barking, gnashing, nearing. Marcus at the platform's end, slumped against a wall map, snapping, slashing. Becca leapt behind a garbage can. Here. The first beast vaulted the turnstile, landing on clawed springs. Tick, tick, tick. Becca being small, very small. Quiet. So quiet. Others arrived. Tick, 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 tick. Looking. Take Marcus, take Marcus, take Marcus. Marcus yelped, wounded prey. Marcus could only escape into the tunnel, but the light was coming, the horn warning, and the pack so fast, and the train blooming. Marcus jumped onto the tracks, running, stumbling, into the wall, jamming himself into a shallow cutaway. Becca standing, hands to her mouth. The train roaring. Marcus squeezing, shoving, stuffing himself into the narrow space. The hyenas at the edge of the platform braying, laughing. 400 tons of uptown train blowing into the station, shaving off his unprotected skin and meat, ripping and tearing and dragging what was left of him from his hiding hole. It happened between breaths, lost in the screen of brakes. Becca's hands fell to her sides. Deadened. The train stopped. Exhaled. The hyenas on the platform faced her, heads down, ears back. Slow steps. Tick, tick. Others blocked the exit. Slow steps. Tick. Tick. The ghoul squelched the microphone back to life.
All aboard now, Mama. She will see you.
subway car's door slid open. Becca stepped in, grabbed at a pole, wrapping her arm around it. A dark smear of Marcus on the wall outside. No one looked. No one saw. A wall map. Yes, the cathedral. Not far. Marcus had been babbling about the cathedral. God. Yes, God would help her. The air froze. The passengers went gravestone straight, faces bleached, eyes gone milky. All of them together, opening their mouths in a shuffling, soulless summoning. Olisha, Olisha. Becca tripped. Couldn't. Olisha, Olisha. Thick smoke, rolling white and grey, filling the car. Olisha, Olisha. And from it, of it, Olisha. Wicked elegance. Olisha. Her voice smoking, merciless. You little thing. No! You will not run. No. What Becca had left of herself lied. I didn't know. Marcus, I didn't know. No more. Lady Olisha, her hair wild, eyes white stars. I see you. Lady Olisha, cruel divinity, taking Becca, oily smoke worming its way inside her. A slender hand touching Becca, finding the line of her throat, reaching into her chest, taking her heart. Torment. Torment. A man stared at the floor, leaning against the doors opposite the platform, swaying as the train came to a stop. He shifted his focus to the overhead ads, avoiding eye contact with the girl stumbling into the car. She looked crazed, her eyes wide, sweating. Her hands found a pole and she pulled herself close. Was she high? Should someone care? He wondered if the news was right about the return of the bad old days. He shot quick glances at the young woman as she hung on the center pole, swaying loosely, mumbling. He would change cars at the next stop. The girl bucked, folded at the waist, and spewed bile, collapsing to the floor. The other riders shouted, surging out the doors. He hopped over her. Some teenagers laughed. Everyone cleared the car, most not looking, not wanting to see. Only a few chose to alert the conductor. The man looked back and saw a young girl, alone, lying in her own mess. He turned away. Rootwork by Patrick Meegan. This episode was brought to you with the generous assistance of our Patreon subscribers. A particular thank you goes out to our esteemed cohorts: Wayne Prince, Rachel Brown, Stephanie Soloka, Robert Troy Hampton Peterson, Sam Bell, Alex Brewis, Adam, Alicia Townsend, Barry Jones, J.B., Stephen Andrews, Tippy Polo, Michael Wood, Arnie Frank, Abaddon, Joe Stinson, Evan Dooley, Philip Abruzese, Fox Meets Bear, and Sam Hankins. Joining our esteemed cohorts in support of the humble production that is Nocturnal Transmissions are our latest acolytes: Emir Nordsblood, J.K. Lomas, and Rachel Lee. Guess what, you three? We have a new Patreon subscriber exclusive episode coming your way next time around. As I'm sure you all know, every third episode we release is available only to our beloved patrons. And we have some cracking stuff coming your way this year, my dears. We can't wait to inflict it upon you. All non-public domain stories are featured with the permission of the authors. All voices and production are concocted by Kristin Holland. If you'd like to support our humble production and reap the rewards, just visit patreon.com/Nocturnal Transmissions and sign up. I assure you, no blood required. Until next time, as always, watch the skies, fear the dark, and don't trust anyone. Especially yourself. Good night, gentle listener.